Well, good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here at the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you this morning with a mail haul, or a continuation of a mail haul. Quite a while back in the end of July, beginning of August, Todd from Todd's Bursting Bookcase had sent me 2 boxes of books, most of them being World War II books. And I've already showed one box and 2 videos because I didn't want it to be a really long video. But it's been a while since I have done this mail haul, and I wanted to finish off this box. My wife is telling me I need to clean up my desk area of books. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I can shelve those books and put them, where I want them in my library. And Todd, thank you very, very much. As always, I thank you for sending me those books. It was very kind and gracious of you, and I just really, really appreciate it. You're definitely expanding my knowledge in World War II, which is going to, then carry on into my classroom and, be able to share it with my kids. And so I really, really appreciate that. Last night, I noticed, I think it was last night, it might have been the day before, maybe I just saw the video last night, but I think it was yesterday. Todd did put out a pretty cool video that I think all of you should go check out. I'll leave the link to that video in the description, and I'll leave the link to his channel in the description. Well, I guess I just need to do one because you can get there. But anyway, he did a video about his favorite author from Minnesota, and I thought that was really cool. He did a little bit of a cemetery walk as he talked to all of us about his favorite author. And so I don't want to tell you the author, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I think you need to go check that out. It was kind of a unique video that I don't think I've seen before, and I don't think several other people had seen that type of video, according to the comments down below in the video. I don't think very many people had seen that type of a video, and it was just kind of neat. It was really unique, and I like doing cemetery walks and seeing all the different stones and the different, people and families that are there. And so it really piqued my interest. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for sharing that, Todd. So anyway, go check out Todd's channel and that video that he left on his favorite author from Minnesota. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the books. Because I got to hurry up and get this video all ready and uploaded, because my wife and I and my 4-year-old daughter are going to go on our annual fall trip to go get pumpkins. And we like to go back to our old town of Weston, and we go to the Red Barn Farm, and we go, there's an apple orchard in there, there's a pumpkin patch near there, and we always go get pumpkins and cider, basically, and we just have a good afternoon of it. And we go visit my old, I want to say stomping grounds. It's not where I'm from, but it's where I first taught in Weston. It's a really old town on the Missouri, or used to be on the Missouri River. It's the river shifted course, and therefore it did not become the Kansas City of our day. Kansas City did, because the river shifted course. But anyway, not to give you a big long history lesson, it is a very historical town, and I really enjoyed living there. So we're going to go do our annual visit. It will be the first year, though, sadly, that my oldest daughter will not be with us. So the tradition of the big family fall journey is now over, I guess. It's just going to be my wife and I and my 4-year-old. But anyway, I want to get this done so I can get it uploaded before we leave to go do that. So like I said, all of these books, with the exception of one, are World War II related. So I'm going to show you the one that's not World War II first, and then we'll get into the World War II books. So the first book that I want to present to you here is A Newer World, Kit Carson, John C. Fremont, and the Claiming of the American West by David Roberts. Excuse me. So pretty cool cover there. I always like old photos. I've shared that before in videos. It's old photos and paintings. That's my favorite kind of covers. So this is going to go back to the Old West and look at 2 pretty famous Americans. Kit Carson, of course, Carson City, Nevada, because of the exploring he did out west. And John C. Fremont, if you don't know anything about him, he was called the Pathfinder, and he did a lot out in California, and then eventually was the very first ever Republican candidate for president back in 1856. And, just did a lot of stuff, was a general he served in the Mexican War. He was a general during the Civil War. So we got a lot of stuff this is the early part of their careers. So a lot of stuff to look at. This is a book from Simon & Schuster, and it is from the year 2000, and it's a pretty short book. It's only, let's see here, it comes in at just over 300 pages, and really kind of looking forward to that. I think it'll be pretty unique. I'll read the inside cover to you here. So John C. Fremont, nearly forgotten today, was one of the giants of the 19th century America. He led 5 expeditions into the American West in the 1840s and 1850s, covering a greater area than any other explorer. His expedition reports, ghost-written by his beautiful and talented wife, Jessie Benton Fremont, were bestsellers in their day. Riding the wave of his popularity, he captured the Republican Party nomination for president in 1856, but narrowly lost the election. Fremont's scout on 3 of his expeditions was Kit Carson. Fremont fancied himself a mountaineer, and he possessed great stamina and courage, but he lacked Carson's skills and knowledge. The only expedition Fremont led without Carson was a disaster that, like the better-known Donner Party debacle, culminated in one of the rare documented instances of cannibalism in American history. A Newer World is the fascinating story of the Fremont-Carson expeditions and of two men, utterly unalike in so many ways, who became friends as well as fellow explorers. Fremont owed his life to Carson, who saved him on several occasions, while the legend of Kit Carson, the great mountain man of his day, grew out of Fremont's expedition reports. The Fremont-Carson expeditions are second only to Lewis and Clark's in their significance for America's western expansion. Excuse me. Their 1845-46 campaign, for example, helped to precipitate the Mexican-American War and led to the wresting of California from Mexico. Carson is often remembered today for his 1863-64 roundup of the Apaches and Navajos, leading to the infamous Long Walk. David Roberts demonstrates that Carson, who was twice married to Indian women, was profoundly ambivalent about the campaign, which was ordered by an army officer who was his superior. Throughout the book, Roberts draws on little-known primary sources in telling the dramatic stories of these expeditions. He shows how Fremont saw himself as a historical figure, especially in his reports, while Carson, taciturn where Fremont was outspoken, modest where Fremont was boastful and significantly illiterate, was oblivious to his own fame. Yet it was Carson who underwent an evolution from an Indian killer to an Indian advocate. In addition to his archival research, Roberts traveled the routes of Fremont and Carson's expeditions to gain a first-hand knowledge of the territory they explored. In analyzing how Fremont and Carson advanced the Americanizing of the West, Roberts writes with a modern-day sensitivity to the Indians for whom these expeditions were a tragedy. And so here's a picture of your author there. So I'm really looking forward to that, especially, I haven't dug into it at all, so I don't know exactly like how it's written, but I recently read a book on Gavrilo Princip and his assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and that was a total surprise because it was written, as a background, but also modern day marching through the areas. And I'm wondering if this author does the same thing with, the looking at it from modern eyes, going through that territory. I think that would be rather interesting. So looking forward to that book. Excuse me. You have to forgive my voice. Football and teaching have kind of taken it. I got a little bit of a fall cold, but we'll persevere. Football's almost over, so my voice should be salvaged for a few weeks after this coming week. So anyway, let's get into the World War II books. So this first one, the World War II stack, is The Eastern Front, Memoirs of a Waffen SS Volunteer, 1941 to 1945. And this is by Leon DeGrill, or DeGrill. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And this book is from the Institute for Historical Review. And it is from the year, let's see, originally 1985, it looks like. And this is a 2014 copy or printing. It's in, well, I thought it was going to be in large print, maybe not. But anyway, let me just read the back cover to you on this one. It says, here's the epic story of the great European fighting force of the Second World War, the Waffen SS, told by a man whose unmatched frontline combat experience and literary talent made him a premier spokesman for his fallen comrades. In this remarkable memoir, a legendary 20th century figure who both witnessed and made history recounts the brutal clash of men and machines as he lived and fought it in the greatest military clash of all time. You'll be with Leon DeGrill and his comrades as they endure danger, privation, and torrents of shot and shell on the sun-baked steppes of the Ukraine, at the foothills of the Caucasus, in the depths of bone-chilling winter, through the stinking mud in the flaming hell of Cherkasy, and across the rolling plains of Estonia and Pomeranian Lake Country. This is the soldier's story, with all the color and gore of the battlefield mixed extremely well. Politics aside, this story tells about a legion of Belgian volunteers who fought bravely with Germany to the bitter end. The pace of the writing is fast, the action is graphic, and a warrior can learn things from reading this book. I recommend its reading by students of the art of war. It is well worth the price. And that was a blurb by John C. Bonson, Brigadier General, U.S. Army. So that'll be good. I think that'll be a nice little addition, telling me, because I don't know a ton about especially the Eastern Front in World War II. So that'll be a nice little addition. Next book in the stack that looks like it'll be a fairly easy reading is All the Gallant Men, the first memoir by a USS Arizona survivor by Donald Stratton with Ken Geyer, I'm not sure how to say that. But really cool cover, nice little photo and everything. It's a slim little book. It's one of those, it's kind of a square shape, so it's not the same size as all the other books. Kind of give you an idea. That's how it compares to the book I just showed. But this is from William Moreau, an imprint of HarperCollins. And it is from the year 2016, so it's fairly new. I do remember seeing this on the shelves at, I think it was Walmart or Target, one of the two. I do remember seeing this and picked it up, thought it looked interesting. Yeah, I don't know that I need to read the inside cover because it's pretty self-explanatory. It's all about, the USS Arizona and surviving that horrific event. So that'll be really good. Next book in the stack is called The Shamrock and the Swastika, German Espionage in Ireland in World War II by Carol J. Carter. Kind of a unique cover. It's an older book, but it's a unique cover. There's your back cover. So it's from Pacific Books Publisher out of Palo Alto, California. Excuse me. And it is from the year 1977. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a little bit older. So 1977. This one, let's see, incredible and revealing. These words truly describe this thorough and documented study of German espionage in Ireland in World War II and of Eamon de Valera's battle to keep his country neutral during this crucial period in history. This spy story is based on official and unofficial sources, especially captured German files used here extensively for the first time, and on personal interviews with many of the participants, Irish government officials, Irish Republican Army members, and the German agents. It discloses to what extent the IRA collaborated with the Germans in their efforts to achieve nationalist goals, and it exposes the incredible, almost unbelievable bungling of the German Abwehr Abwehr military espionage in its Irish mission because of the internal jealousies, falsified reports, and the amateurish agents. Although it may read like a Peter Sellers movie at times, this book points out one of the chief participants, marks a considerable advance in our knowledge of what really went on publicly and secretly in Ireland in this exciting period. The apparent lack of support in Ireland's southern 26 counties for Britain's life and death struggle in World War II brought sharp criticism from English and American leaders, as well as many exaggerated tales about the extent of Irish cooperation with Germany and the hospitality accorded German spies by the IRA. In fact, the Irish government was unsympathetic toward Germany and sought to suppress the IRA. But few people outside of Ireland knew this. Ireland actually supported the Allied cause in a variety of ways, and doing so was very much in Ireland's best interest. Many questions about the nature of Irish neutrality in World War II persist to this day. However, this book attempts to clarify the issue by investigating the relationship between the IRA and the German military intelligence, why German spies were sent to Ireland, what they expected to accomplish, and whether or not they were successful, German plans for converting Irish POWs into spies and saboteurs in a recreation of the famous Casement Brigade of World War I, the extent to which the German legation in Dublin provided Berlin with information about the Allied wartime planning, the transition of Irish-British relations from the hostility in the 1920s to the open cooperation in the 1940s and separation from the Commonwealth, the American response to and misunderstanding of Irish neutrality, and how Irish neutrality was violated, how the Irish leadership reacted to violations, and the goals of the Irish government pursued during World War II. So if you like espionage and you like World War II, this might be your book. A little bit of Irish history there. So I think that might be one that Peg and Martine might like over at the History Shelf. Both of them, I bet they might like that, because I know Peg's been liking the spy and espionage stuff, and of course Martine being Irish, maybe that would be up both of their alleys there. So look forward to that. All right, so this next one is The Fall of Hitler's Fortress City, The Battle for Königsberg, 1945, by Isabel Denny. The afterword is by Dennis Showalter. So a little bit of a thin volume. There we go. Not a real big book, but obviously, about the fall of Königsberg, Hitler's fortress there. So read just a little bit to you here. In 1945, in the face of the advancing Red Army, 2.5 million people were forced out of Germany's most easterly province, East Prussia, and in particular its capital, Königsberg. Their flight was a direct result of Hitler's ill-fated decision to invade the Soviet Union in 1941. Now that the Germans were in retreat, the horrors of Leningrad and Stalingrad were to be avenged by an army determined not to invade Germany but to take over its eastern territories. The Russians launched Operation Bagration in June 1944 to coincide with the D-Day landings. As American and British forces pushed west, the Russians liberated Eastern Europe and made their first attacks on German soil in the autumn of 1944. Königsberg itself was badly damaged by 2 British air raids at the end of August of 1944. In the main offensive against the city by the Red Army began in January of 1945. The depleted and poorly equipped German army could do little to hold it back, and by the end of January, East Prussia was cut off. The Russians exacted a terrible revenge on the civilian population who were forced to flee across the freezing Baltic coast in an attempt to escape. On April 9th, the city surrendered to the Russians after a 4-day onslaught. Over through firsthand accounts as well as archival material, the fall of Hitler's fortress city tells the dramatic story of a place and its people that bore the brunt of Russia's vengeance against the Nazi regime. And of course, that vengeance was pretty terrible. I mean, I guess how you look at it, maybe it's justified with what Hitler and the Nazis did to them. I mean, you could probably argue that, but I think both ways, all of this stuff we're reading about was terrible. It blows my mind, some of the stuff that happened. But anyway, this is all going to definitely build my knowledge of World War II and these different battles, different events, different just different things happening. So now we're down to the last 3 books in the stack. So the first one in these last 3 is The Holocaust in Romania, the destruction of Jews and Gypsies under the Antonescu, pardon me for mispronouncing that, regime, 1940 to 1944. And it's by Radu Ionid, with a foreword by Elie Wiesel. Okay, so another Holocaust history here. This one will be obviously focused in Romania. So I'll go ahead and read this one to you. So it says, in 1930, 757,000 Jews lived in Romania. They constituted the 3rd largest Jewish community in Europe. Today, not more than 14,000 Jews live in Romania, most of them elderly. The record of the Holocaust in Romania includes many curious chapters of betrayal and support, but they have been largely unavailable until now. Radu Ionid's account, based upon unparalleled access to previously secret East European government archives, is an unprecedented analysis of heretofore purposely hidden materials, archival records, published and unpublished reports, memoirs of survivors, letters. Dr. Ionid uses all these elements to build an accurate perspective on the Romanian policies of racism, anti-Semitism, and the extermination of Jews during the regime of Ion Antonescu. And I might have mispronounced that. I apologize. Nowhere else in Europe, Dr. Ionid writes, has a mass murderer, Adolf Hitler's faithful ally until the very end, a man who once declared war on the United States, been honored as a national hero, inspired the erection of public monuments, and had streets named for him. Today in Romania, there is a growing effort to deny the government's role in the tragedy. The Holocaust in Romania, in stark detail, sheds light on the reality of the persecutions, the cruelty of the perpetrators, and their blatant opportunism and endless cynicism. No Romanian Jewish community was spared. The pattern of destruction is not unfamiliar. Legislative discrimination followed by defamation, outbursts of violence, disorder, robbery, deportations, ad hoc killings, and organized genocide. Yet an elusive national policy and the opportunistic strategies of Romanian authorities allowed 300,000 Romanian Jews to survive the war. How to explain so much cruelty manifested on so many levels by Romanian society, asks Elie Wiesel in his foreword. Ionid supplies us with documented details. It takes tremendous force to read this book from cover to cover. All right, and I know I'm not familiar with Dr. Ionid, but I am familiar with Elie Wiesel. I've read his book Night, and there was another, I can't remember. I've read a couple of his books, including Night, and it was very, very powerful. And so if he's working with this author to tell this story, this has got to be a good story, or not a good story, a bad story, but a good read. Going to learn something. So yeah, pretty excited about that, to add that to the Holocaust collection. That's going to build my knowledge. I think I forgot to tell you your publisher in that book. It's from Ivan R.D. out of Chicago, and it's from the year 2000. Sorry about that. All right, so the next book is The Fall of Berlin by Anthony Reed and David Fisher. That's kind of a neat photo. You can see that photo there. Kind of a neat photo. Got a little tear on the dust jacket, but that's all right. All right, so this is from W.W. Norton and Company out of New York and London, and it is from the year 1992. So from my not teenage years, just before my teenage years. So, the fall of Berlin. As World War II draws to a close in Europe, the attention of the Allied and German high commands is focused on a single city, Berlin, the crown jewel of the Nazi Empire, and now the scene of Adolf Hitler's desperate last stand. Pounded by Allied bombing, an army of old men, invalids, and children mans the barricades against the encircling Soviet armies. Hitler, promising a miracle, orders a fight to the death. For Stalin, capture of the Nazi citadel is the ultimate prize. The symbol of his intentions to crush Germany and build a cordon between Russia and the West. One of the bloodiest chapters in the history of warfare is about to be written. Reed and Fisher's epic narrative begins with the pomp and glitter of the 1936 Olympics, as Berlin, showcase of the 1,000-year Reich, hosts the nations of the world. But outside the banqueting halls and the sports complex, the iron fist of the regime is closing around the Jews of Germany, foreigners, and all those who oppose the Nazis. With war already on the horizon, Berlin has become the hub of Hitler's vast military and industrial machine. In a series of brilliantly detailed vignettes, the authors tell the story of the city, of its soldiers, and ordinary citizens, of those like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who gave their lives to save Germany from Hitler. The narrative tightens like a noose around Berlin. Vivid memories of survivors take us into the labyrinths of the air raid shelters, cellars, and the flak towers as Allied bombers relentlessly pour high explosive onto the streets. Not since Is Paris Burning has a book so captured the drama of a city and its people caught in the toils of war. All right, so here's a picture of the two authors. See the authors there. So that'll be good. That'll be a good history of Berlin and the fall of Berlin, the end of the European side of World War II. And the last book in the stack is Decision in Normandy by Carlo D'Este. Not sure how to say that. I think it's D'Este. I'll go with it. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Got a nice map on the back of Normandy. And of course, I don't know that I really need to read the inside cover of this one because, it's pretty self-explanatory. What are they going to do in Normandy? So it's from Kaneki and Kaneki, and it is originally from 1983, but this version is 1994, and pretty excited about that. I always like reading about Normandy. I think that the invasion was pretty interesting to read about. I know my kids at school always really enjoy reading or learning about it and reading about it, and we watch some video and stuff, and that always kind of sucks them into the learning about the war, and they really start paying attention to a lot of the details and all the new technologies that have come in. So anyway, this is my stack. Again, these are from Todd at Todd's Bursting Bookcase. Go check out his channel and check out that video I told you about his favorite author. And if you've read any of these books, BookTube, please let me know what you think about them down in the comments. Let me know what to expect. If you've got some different recommendations, I'm always open to those. I just kind of make a list of them, and when I can get to them, I try to get to them. So, and I've had a lot of them lately, so I really appreciate that from everyone out there. So thank you for that. Thank you for all of the new subscribers, and I just hope everyone has a great day. It's supposed to be wonderful weather where I'm here in Southwest Iowa. It's supposed to be beautiful weather again. Maybe a little warm for the season, but I'll take the lasting days of summer. But anyway, BookTube, you have a great day, and just hope everyone has a good book in hand. So until next time, happy reading.